それでは本日のクライマックス、インドのパネルです。世界最大14億人市場の熱狂、インド最前線から全貌解説、消費革命、AI、IPO ラッシュで吹き立つ市場を現地の起業家、投資家が解き明かします。進行は SGgrow の小淵智也さん、ご登壇はエグシミアスベンチャーズのパール・アガラバルさん、オーレンキャピタルのクシャル・バギアさんです。よろしくお願いいたします。Moderate, Tomoya Kobuchi of SGgrow. On stage, Pearl Agarwal of Eximius Ventures and Kushal Bhagia of Orange Capital. では拍手でお迎えください。
皆さんこんにちは。最後のセッションになりますので、皆さん、最後まで元気によろしくお願いします。こちらのセッション終わりましたらもうネットワーキング、後ほどアナウンスありますけど、ネットワーキングが1回やりますので、最後まで、お聞きいただければと思います。本セッションは、英語となりますので、もし何かわからない方とかあったら、Google のトランスレーションとか使っていただければと思います。よろしくお願いいたします。では、本日、来日いただいて、ご登壇いただきますのは、皆さんから見て右側の男性の方が、この写真では真ん中ですけれども、オールインキャピタルのファウンディングパートナーのクシャールさんで、真ん中の女性の方が、こちらの写真では、右ですけれども、エクシミアスベンチャーズのファウンダー&マネージングパートナーのパールさんです。皆さんよろしくお願いいたします。Okay, could you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us, and very glad to be here in Japan. Hi everyone. Thank you for taking out time. I am Pearl, founder of Eximius Ventures. Eximius is an early stage pre-seed focused fund out of India. We primarily back founders building in the AI space at the very early stage, like the 0 to 1. We have been in the market for 5 years, have done over 35 companies so far across 2 funds. While we have not invested yet in Japan, Japan is a market that a lot of our portfolio companies are looking to enter and actively exploring. In fact, we are backed by McKinsey, and through that network have been able to see what can be the cross collaboration between the 2 countries, and very glad to be chatting with you guys to learn more about it.
Kushal?
Hi, thank you. Thanks to all of you for showing up today. My name is Kushal. I run a pre-seed fund in India called All In Capital. We are really the first check in young Indian technology founders. We write checks of up to $500,000 in their first round. Across my career, I have been a founder, then an operator at startups in India, and then started my own fund eventually. Over the past 7 years as a VC, I have backed more than 150 companies in India. Some of them have crossed valuations of 500 million. We've been investing mostly in 3 spaces in India. Number 1 is consumer India. Indian consumption is on a boom, and anything which provides a better product or experience to Indian consumers is something we're very interested in. Second is AI products that Indian companies are building and selling globally. And third is deep tech, where Indian companies building satellites, drones, robots and stuff like that. I love backing founders, working with them as their first investor, and over my life I want to back 1,000 founders from India. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Kushal, so you mentioned about the consumer tech and the consumer brands. So you have been investing in consumer brands and the consumer startups. So Masa also explained in Japanese about the consumer revolution. So what are the reasons behind of this consumer consumption booming in India?
So traditionally India was a very closed socialist country. In 1990s it opened up, and entrepreneurship and capitalism in India actually very new. So structurally we are a very undersupplied country, which means if you go to the supermarket here in Japan, let's say you'll have option to buy like 20 deodorant brands, in India you'll have 3 or 4, right? So there's a lot of this penetration still pending in India in every category. Specifically over the last 10 years, 3-4 things happened which resulted in this boom in consumerism. Number 1 is everybody got phones and internet. So internet penetration in India has gone to 800 million people. It was 100 million people 10 years back. India has the lowest cost data market in the world. Out of the 800 million people, 300 million people are now shopping online. 10 years back that number was only 100 million. So it's already 3x, and we think it will again 2-3x from here, as around 800 million people will shop online by 2035. The other big trend is over the last 10 years, a lot of the logistics infrastructure in India has been built up. GST has come in, which made India a unified market. And with internet, desire gets created when people see products on Instagram or YouTube. So you can see a product, somebody will sell it to you online, and you can immediately buy it. And as a business, you can serve the whole of India online. Earlier it was like you had to go set up a base in 28 different states and follow different laws in each state. Now India has one unified market online, right? So it's very easy to sell products to consumers across India. This has now resulted in a boom of quick commerce, which in every city in India you guys may have heard of. So like last year I was in San Francisco, and a friend of mine at his house, I asked him for a can of Diet Coke, and he said, I am out of Diet Coke, right? In India we don't say that anymore. Nobody says I'm out of anything, because you can order anything on an app. So if even at 11 in the night I want Diet Coke, I press a button, it will show up, right? So from baby diapers to food to medicines to groceries, I even bought a poker set on these apps. So these quick com apps have now boomed across India, and that has resulted in this super deadly cocktail of consumerism, where you can show consumers products and then fulfill the delivery in 10 minutes. So all kinds of brands are now starting up in India to service different consumer aspirations. So yeah, overall in consumer in India, I think it's a pretty good time to be working.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to dig deeper into like quick commerce. Mas also mentioned about if you order from your app, in 10 minutes you can get, for example, like a baby diaper, as you mentioned. So how does it work? Maybe most of the Japanese people here are not really familiar with this quick commerce.
Sure. So traditionally, e-commerce was like the Amazon model, where you order something and it comes in a day or two, right? Those were usually marketplaces where there is a seller who will pack the product and sell it on Amazon or Rakuten or some platform, right? In quick commerce, the platform itself runs dark stores. So think of it like you have so many 7-Elevens and Lawsons here in Japan, but they are on the main street, right? And people walk in and buy. In India, these are dark stores which will be in some back street. So it won't be visible on the main roads as such. So it will be a place where real estate is very cheap. Because nobody is going to go to those stores. Those stores only deliver. So kind of like what cloud kitchens did in the food business, right? You have restaurants which only do delivery, like cloud kitchens. Similarly, dark stores as a concept has really taken off in India. So these platforms like Blinkit, Zepto, Instamart, they set up these dark stores across dense urban localities in India. And within like a 5 kilometer or 3 kilometer radius, they do deliveries. So you will often find products available in 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, right? It's crazy. And they don't stock everything, but like the top, let's say you want to buy deodorants, right? So the top 4 or 5 brands you will get. You may not get 20 brands there. So they stock the power law products. So whatever people really need, the brands that are really selling, they select that really well and they curate that collection in a dark store close to your house. And then they deliver it to you in 10 minutes. It sounds trivial when you think about it, like why would I want something in 10 minutes? But like once you have it, it really unlocks your, you stop planning for things basically. Do you guys remember what life was like before Google Maps? You had to think, right? If I had to come to Kyoto, I would have had to draw a map and write down instructions on how to get to this place called question, right? For this event. Now I just leave the house and I just book a cab and I reach, right? Or I just see Google Maps and I walk. Similarly, group purchases have become like that in India. Nobody plans what to buy. People just, like when they want something, they just order it. Which means they buy more and they buy more often. So which is why the consumption is booming right now in India. The other new trend, so these are horizontal platforms like Instamart, Swiggy, Blinkit, Zepto. These guys sell pretty much everything. You are now having new vertical platforms forming. So we've invested in a company called Plaza with SGgrow team as well, which does medicine delivery online. So that's a different kind of dark store, which is a pharmacy dark store. There are people who are doing fashion quick commerce, so you can buy clothes online. There are people who are doing services, so you can press a button and somebody will come clean your house or wash your dishes or help you with something in the house. So there are these new verticals forming across different domains in India. And yeah, it's a pretty exciting concept. I think India is the first market in the world where this is really working at scale.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, quick growth is a very interesting topic. Also, like AI is also a very interesting topic. It's a very hot topic in India as well, right? In Japan also, like but we are familiar with like US AI, like OpenAI, Anthropic. But how about in India? How can you share about the AI situation in India?
Yeah, no, AI, just as everywhere else in the world, is really picking up in India as well. But there's a core difference. The US has been focusing a lot on building infrastructure and foundational model, and so is China and certain parts of East Asia as well. But in India, given the population and how large the Indian markets are, it's a very good place to use AI for applied use cases. And there are use cases across consumer, across enterprise, across defense, and we are seeing AI now proliferate all across these cases. So just to give you an example, 1/3 of Indian population actually focuses on agriculture. And so far there has been no mechanization in agriculture at all. You still have very old age mechanisms that are being used. But now with AI, all the way from weather to soil health, to productivity, and finally how supply chain would work, at the consumer end, can be managed and intelligence can be provided. This is a big area where the government is focusing on. In fact, about a year ago, the government has allocated $1.2 billion to make smart cities and essentially bring AI use cases to Indian consumers. The other thing, which I'm pretty sure that all of us will now start to see, not just in India but across, is how do you manage all of this power, renewable power that is coming in. That is another area where we are seeing AI make huge leaps. Our defense has been, making drones smart. We've all seen what drones have been able to do in Ukraine, and how something which is less than $5,000 can compete with missiles that are multi-million-dollar. And AI is playing a huge part in making them smart. To the extent where a drone today doesn't just have brains, but a swarm of drones can have their own brains, communicate with each other, and then plan missions as per the intent. And all of that has been possible because of AI. And this is where we believe that even sovereign, like a local AI, is going to play a big part, because AI is no longer going to be universally applicable or available. We've seen with Fable 5, it was not something that was available to the rest of the world. So again, startups have started to come and see where use cases where a sovereign AI will be required has started to come.
Yeah, and how about like application layer of like AI startups? Do you invest in like these like AI startups in India, or did you find like any interesting startup?
All the examples that I'm giving are startups that either we have invested in or are also startups that we are seeing actively come up. We get over 1,000 startups a month today, and I would say 60% of them have some or the other AI application there. So very, very vibrant ecosystem and founders that are building there. In fact, given that there are 950 million people with smartphones constantly creating data, which is what feeds into large language model, India has also become a data hub to train all of these large language models and the physical AI model. It's very funny, nowadays if you are just driving around the street, you'll see people walking around with little smartphones attached to their head, or people with sensors doing weird things on the road, and you try to wonder what that is. They're actually collecting egocentric data for physical AI. So all across.
Interesting. Okay, let's move to like the next topic, like India IPO. Like Masa mentioned earlier, the number of India IPO is increasing every year. So, what is the reason behind of this situation, and how will be the next maybe 5 to 10 years? Maybe Kushal?
Sure. So, India had a pretty big boom in the equity markets over the last 10 years because there's been a underlying infrastructure and fintech has been built up. So everybody has a bank account, people have a digital identity called Aadhaar, digital demat accounts have opened up, meaning you can start open a trading account online with like no physical signatures needed. Plus everybody has phones and internet, right? So from I think the number of investors in demat in India is 3x or 4x in the last 5-6 years. Especially COVID was a big boom cycle. You have a large portion of the Indian investing class who does SIPs every month, which is systematic investment plan. Meaning, let's say I earn 50,000 rupees, I will invest 5,000 every month in the market automatically in a mutual fund, right? So that money is collecting every month, and that is compounding every month. So if last year it was 2 billion, then it became 5 billion, then it became 50 billion, and so on. So it's going on increasing, and that money needs some place to go, right? That money is chasing assets. So if you are a good company and you're profitable, or even if you have good growth, if you go to the equity markets, there are a lot of mutual funds with a lot of money which can buy your stock. So that has been one big fundamental driver of IPOs in India. Secondly, I think regulations also have changed recently, which makes it easy to go public even if you are loss making. Earlier it was not allowed if you were loss making to go public. So over the last 3-4 years, multiple IPOs have happened, and not only have IPOs happened, those stocks have boomed also after listing. Like Zomato, which was India's largest food delivery company, listed at I think 8 or 10 billion valuation in 2021. Today it's at 20 billion valuation, and trades in that range. Urban company went public last year, that's a home services business. Swiggy went public, Meesho has gone public. So there's been a series of IPOs in the 2 to 10 billion valuation range, and the public markets have enough liquidity in them to support these companies at that scale.
Wow, interesting. So do you have anything to add?
No, I think Kushal covered quite a bit. The only thing I would like to add to it is, while there is something called sort of the main board where multi-billion or multi-million dollar companies are listing, the biggest shift we have also seen is a liquidity that is being created for small cap companies. There is a small cap board that has been created as well, and in the last 3 years, let's say you have companies that are profitable with $1 million of profit, but it might not be growing as fast as one expected. Most likely those companies would have either gotten acquired or alternatively would not have generated any returns for venture capital. But now with the small cap exchange, even these companies are getting listed. They are not just finding private capital but public capital. And the most interesting thing is, it's not like they get listed and stop. There are companies that have grown 10x since the day that they have gotten listed and returned more than what was expected by VCs from the public market. I mean, there is a company called E2E Networks that does GPU as a service. Today, today their market cap is almost 4 times of what it was when they got listed. And the most recent raise that they did was bigger than the market cap when they got listed. All of this in the last 2 years, primarily driven by a small cap exchange. With the way that AI is growing, I mean, they have now moved to the main board as well. So you can also move from small exchanges to the big exchange, creating a long-term potential for these companies to really become big. And I think that's very unique to India. It's not even available in developed countries like the US. In the US, a company with a 1 million profit would most likely get acquired. Probably that is where the cap would be.
One more point I'll add is, if you see multiples in India, they are much higher than multiples outside, especially for consumer companies. So like Unilever, it trades at a lower multiple in the European exchange than the subsidiary, which is Hindustan Unilever, that will trade at 60-70 PE. The parent will trade at 20-30 PE in Netherlands. So you are seeing a trend where MNCs which have operations across the world, they are trying to list their subsidiaries in India because there's so much demand for stocks in India. Hyundai, the Korean company, right, they have listed their subsidiary in India. Maruti Suzuki from Japan, right, that is also listed in India and enjoys a very good valuation. I think Suzuki's India business is much bigger than their the business now in Japan. So that's an increasingly new trend we're seeing, that public markets are so deep that international companies are choosing to list their operations in the Indian exchange.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's time to wrap up now. So last question. So you guys are venture capitalists and investors. So now you guys are maybe focusing on like consumer tech, AI. So what will be the next opportunity? What will be the next industry will be coming in the 5 to 10 years to invest? Maybe future IPO.
So for me, it is space tech. India has a large ecosystem of space scientists from our ISRO, which is the Indian equivalent of NASA. Lot of talent from India privatized space, I think 2021. So after 21, you could actually launch a private space company in India, and lot of capital has come into that sector. There are companies building satellites, companies building. Even we've invested in some companies that are doing this. Companies building launch vehicles, companies for data, earth observation, companies for satellite manufacturing, maintenance. So the whole value chain of space, there's a serious effort happening in India right now to become a I think right now that whole ecosystem was about 9 billion. That itself will go to $40-50 billion in a few years.
I would say that the biggest area we see is industrial AI, a sub part of AI. So far, most of the digital transformation has happened in the tech first companies, but this is the first time when we speak to these 8 million plus MSMEs and SMEs, the small companies that exist in India focusing on manufacturing. They're all looking to adopt AI. Never have I been asked by legacy businesses how they can adopt AI or how they can adopt tech the way they're asking today. And I think that is where the next 5 years of innovation will come from. All of these small players either getting rolled up and starting to become more AI native, AI first, and using physical AI products, vision AI products within their entire ecosystem to become a smarter manufacturing unit.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, you must ask me to close this session, so I need to wrap up. Okay, thank you very much for joining Kushal and Pearl. では皆さん、本セッションと終了とさせていただきますので、皆さん盛大な拍手でよろしくお願いします。
Thank you so much.
はい、巨大なインド市場 IPO ラッシュ語るスタートアップ環境のインドの熱さ、しっかり伝わってきましたね。興味がある方はぜひこの後のネットワーキングでもクシャルさん、パールさんとご交流ください。よろしくお願いします。